Hello there and welcome back, and thank you for being here. I'm really excited to see so many new subscribers join the channel. So today I have a mixed video for you. We are going to be doing a big grocery haul. I'm going to be doing some meal prepping and meal planning, but I'm also going to show you how I'm using up a lot of random leftovers that we had. We did a little bit of hosting over the Easter weekend and we ended up with some stuff that I needed to use up. So I'm going to show you how I did that as well. So let's dive in. So the first recipe we're doing today is a really simple frittata, and I'm using some leftover hot dogs that we have. I've got some feta cheese there, some eggs, some milk, and frittata really is a great way, as long as you eat eggs. If you're vegan, obviously this is not really going to work for you, but if you are vegetarian or if you're a meat eater, you can make frittata with almost any kind of vegetable that you like. You know, I'm using brown onion here and some capsicum. The little tiny green one is from my own garden. I'm very happy to have been able to grow some of my own vegetables this year. I've also got a red capsicum there, as you can see, or I know you call them bell peppers in some other countries. Um, but yeah, just cutting this up into smaller pieces, but you can use pretty much any vegetable you like. I have made frittata-like things with potato and other stuff in it as well. So I'm going to use the rest of that red capsicum for another recipe shortly, but this is really, really simple. So I'm getting my onion started in a cast iron pan. Now we are going to put this whole pan in the oven shortly, so you can make frittata in an oven dish as well, but I just prefer to make it like this because it works quite well with a cast iron pan. But if you look up, I'm going to link a basic recipe that I often use below, but if you want to use another one, of course, Google is your friend here. So now I'm just cutting up these sausages. These were like a herb and garlic sausage, so I'm going to go a little bit easy on the seasoning as well. And then I'm just throwing the capsicum in there. The onion is well and truly done at this point, brought the heat down slightly. And now we're going to get started on the egg mixture, which is obviously the base of a frittata. I just really like it because it gets really nice and fluffy. Now you are going to need either milk or water just to help kind of break the egg up a little bit. So I'm throwing my sausages in there just to kind of brown them ever so slightly, and in the meantime we're whisking up this egg. I've just got a little bit of salt and pepper in here because, like I said, I do have a lot of flavor already in those sausages. And then we're just going to pour that mixture right over and take that feta cheese. You could use any cheese you want. You could also omit the cheese if you don't like it. But I wanted to use it up, and this obviously adds a little bit of extra salt. So just make sure that you don't over season. So that's why I'm only adding some black pepper at this point. Now this would have sat here. You can see around the edges that that's starting to look pretty happy. So now we're going to put the whole cast iron pan in the oven. I think I cooked this for 20 odd minutes, I believe. But you do want to keep an eye on it. I had it in at about 175, 180 degrees Celsius. But you can see how it's starting to really sort of fluff up really, really nicely. The whole house, by the way, smelled beautiful at this point. And this is one way of using up leftovers that is just absolutely amazing. So yeah, no, that was really, really nice, and it turned out really, really good. This is a fairly large pan, so what I did is I actually cut this into slightly smaller pieces, and at this particular day I was actually catching up with a friend as well, so I brought some for her as well. The other thing we did was we did leftover burgers, which was really, really nice and tasty, and we had leftover potato salad because I'd made way too much. So that's another great way of eating leftovers and not having to cook. And next up, we're making one of my absolute favorite lunch prep recipes. This is a quinoa salad that I make quite often, both in winter and summer. I've got cooked cold quinoa, I've got some corn, you can use canned corn if you want, I've got celery, carrot, some stuff from my garden, and then a few things here that are going to go in our dressing. So I will link the recipe below for you. This makes a really nice few portions. You can add extra protein like tuna or chicken or anything else that you want after the fact. But this stores really well in the fridge, and I normally make it ahead of time, so I leave it in the fridge for about up to 3 days or so. But yeah, the recipe will be linked below for you. Um, I had another little tiny green capsicum, like I showed you before, from my garden. It's actually been tracking really well this year, my little veggie patch, so I'm looking forward to build it out a bit more for next year. But yeah, cutting up the capsicum, I know some of you call it bell pepper. You can use any color. The red one was cheapest at my supermarket this week, which is why I'm using the red one here. And then we are going to grate up the carrot. I used 2 carrots for this recipe. Again, it's linked below. But you want to grate it up fairly fine because that's going to help really soak up the beautiful juices from the dressing we're going to make in a second. And then we're going to move on to the celery. Celery is such a versatile thing. It doesn't necessarily taste like much, but if you didn't know, you can actually freeze celery in little Ziploc bags or tubs in your freezer, or snack on it like I do in this video. You also want to make sure whenever you do use celery that you really give it a good wash, because in my experience it often literally has dirt in it. In this particular instance, I got a really big bunch of celery, so I actually froze some of it and the rest I saved in my fridge for another recipe, just in an airtight bag in my veggie crisper. So I now have a really big pile of vegetables here, so I'm going to also cut up this handful of green beans that I got in my garden. The recipe doesn't really call for it, but every now and then if I have extra vegetables in my fridge, I just chuck them in. Next up, we're going to make the dressing. So we need a lime here, and this particular one was a little bit on the soft side. It was a very juicy lime, but it was very hard to peel and get the zest for the dressing. But I got there in the end. So you just want to make sure that you actually use the zest, because it's going to give this a really beautiful kick of lime. I have used lemon for this recipe as well, but lime is preferred. So I'm just mixing up my dressing here. I often use jam jars or, olive jars or whatever you have handy. So we're just gonna mix this up nicely and give it a really good shake. Then we're going to juice our lime. This one was very, very juicy, which was very nice. You can also use, I have done this once when I used the bottled lime and I didn't use the zest. It's still nice, but it's much nicer to add the zest if you can. I didn't get as much as I wanted off this particular lime. But in it goes, and then we are going to add a little bit of Dijon. Again, the recipe, including the dressing, is linked below, but you can modify this however you like. Little pinch of salt is nice in there as well. Sometimes I do add pepper, sometimes I don't. It's really just up to you what you prefer. So you want to give this a really good shake, and depending how warm it is where you live, your honey may or may not be as liquidy as you would like it to be. So I ended up actually having to give this a little bit of a stir in the bottom because the honey was sort of sticking a little bit. So make sure that you incorporate it as much as you can. And now we're ready to assemble. So in my large tub, I've got my cold quinoa. I'm going to chuck my corn in as it is, and all of my other veggies that I prepared earlier. This is such a yummy recipe, and you can obviously make it really versatile. My husband's not a huge fan of capsicum, so sometimes I put a little bit less of that in, a little bit more carrot. I used about a cup of uncooked quinoa, which makes a fair bit once it's cooked. So gave that a really good stir and then gave the dressing another shake, and then we just pour this in and give it a good mix. Now, I do recommend before you serve this, or when you put this in smaller meal prep containers, make sure that you give it a good stir just so that everything is nice and coated in the dressing. This recipe, I can't speak highly enough of. We absolutely love it. It's colorful, it's really healthy. Even the dressing, I use this dressing for other things as well, like other salads and stuff. So This ended up being lunch for 3 days for 2 people, and I had mine with a side of boiled egg, and one day I had a small tin of tuna. So it turned out really, really yummy. All right, so we've just gotten back from the supermarket doing a bit of a top up. The big grocery haul I did a few videos back is actually quite a few weeks ago now, so we needed to top up on a few things. So I'll start over here with kind of a non-essential, but these taco kits were on clearance, half price for, I'll put the price on the screen, I think it was like $4 something. So a really easy one for dinner or Friday night or whatever. We got some milk for my husband, some almond milk for me, non-food item, but I needed some dishwashing liquid. So this brand I quite like. They have it at Coles and Woolworths here in Australia. Got some butter for baking and cooking. And you know me and my clearance stickers. So we picked up this for dinner tonight. This is like a pre-seasoned, you know, bits of chicken. So we're going to be cooking this up in my turbo oven. I'll probably end up filming tonight's dinner because it's going to be a yummy one. And this one here, I'm trying a new recipe that called for chicken thigh or chicken breast, but they had this chicken tenderloin thing on clearance, so we're going to try it with this. We had no beef mince in the house, so this is 1 kilo. So I'm going to split this in half and freeze it into 500-gram packs. Some Parmesan cheese, we were out of that, and then some green beans and broccoli just to add to my freezer section of veggies. Full cream milk powder, I use this to make my own yogurt. If you're interested in learning how I do that, let me know in the comments down there and I will do a video about that. Got a little bit of fruit here, got some apples, some lemon to go with this Parmesan chicken recipe that I'm trying for the first time, so we need some lemon for that. Some leek for a kind of scallop potato that I'm doing tonight to go with these yummy guys, which will make heaps of food, by the way. That'll be a couple of dinners for us. Got some bananas. We needed some peanut butter, some decaf instant coffee every now and then. I'll do decaf in the afternoon, and some pickles. We were totally out of that. This brand, I'm not sure where you're watching from, but here in Australia we have the Odd Bunch, which is basically like all these random slices. So this is a much cheaper way to buy your veggies because they're not quote unquote perfect. They're odd sizes and things like that, so they would normally be discarded, but you can buy them for a little bit less at our major supermarkets, which I'm grateful for. This was the best deal on potatoes. I think it was $2 a kilo or something like that. I'll leave the price here on the screen for you, but we needed some more potatoes. I picked up some clearance bread for me, down from $4.80, but it looked really nice, so I thought I'd try this one. We don't eat heaps of bread, and this is just for my husband. This is a gluten-free one, and we needed some more eggs. So I will leave the price for all of this on the screen now. It wasn't too expensive. This is probably 2 and a bit weeks worth of food for us. So yeah. The thing about cooking that I really like is not necessarily just the nutrition that you get out of the food, but the enjoyment of using things up and making things healthy, but also really tasty with very simple means. So I hope you enjoyed today's video inspiration. Let me know in the comments below what you're going to be making this week, and share your favorite recipes. I love getting new recipes because we all get into that rut where we cook the same thing over and over. So let me know in the comments below if you've got some really good meal prep recipes to share with us all, and I look forward to see you next week.